I legitimately just forgot my topic. And I just remembered. Never mind.
Good evening. You're listening to Myth and Mist, your one-stop podcast for killers, thrillers, and chillers of the Pacific Northwest. I'm Haley.
And I'm Genevieve, and this is Lola.
Say hello, Lola. Good girl. Thanks for tuning in.
I need to take it back for a second to, I guess it will be 2 episodes ago, the Susan Monica cattle mutilations. This legitimately occurred to me the other day, out of nowhere. I remember you said that you talked to Molly about the cattle mutilations because she's from Pendleton. And she said that she remembered them, but she thought it was a coyote.
Yeah.
And then I remembered that Susan Monica blamed a coyote for why the leg ended up on her property. Oh. So now I'm thinking maybe there's just one really evil coyote that's running around doing really fucked up shit.
The entire state of
Oregon.
You know, it's possible.
We need to be careful. I saw a coyote the other day when I was walking Glue. It was just like running down the sidewalk. What if that was the coyote and it
Did it look like it could take a...
It looked like it could hold a scalpel.
It could hold a scalpel and it could like cut your lips off with precision.
It looked like it had malintent on its mind.
So yeah, probably. Ooh. Well, ladies and gentlemen, watch out for the coyotes. My God. Especially
that one specific one that probably has committed multiple murders and acts of animal cruelty.
And he gets around. We live a little... I mean, Susan Monica was like a little bit south of us, and then the cattle mutilations were in
I bet
multiple
he has
counties
like
east of
a
us.
really built out like muscle car.
Ooh,
and
yeah,
he just
does.
drives really fast, and he'll just like go to an area, commit a heinous crime, jump in his whatever
Does
car.
it look like the Batmobile, or does it look like something else?
No, I feel like it looks like a Trans Am or something. You know, like something like... I bet he's just in there like blaring AC/DC.
Oh, of course he is.
And like, you know, scheming. It's probably... What I'm saying is it's probably the same coyote responsible for all of it.
I agree, actually.
So,
I think
if you see those signs, I don't know about you, but there are signs all over my neighborhood that are like, warning, coyote acting weird in this area, be alert. Is probably that coyote. And the weird thing that it was doing is probably murdering people.
Okay, so if listeners, if you see a suspicious coyote, please take a photo and send it in.
Yeah, especially if it's armed. If it's obviously a coyote that's obviously carrying a weapon. If it's a weaponized coyote, that's probably our guy.
We will continue monitoring the situation. We will keep you updated.
Absolutely, it's our responsibility.
It is our responsibility. We are members of the media.
Yeah. Are we?
We're making media. I listen to media. We are journalists.
We're reporters now. Press.
This is actually really on topic because our overall topics today, I think, are travelers.
It's true. Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah.
So...
yeah, drifters, or like people who get around, people who cover ground, things and people who cover ground.
A coyote in a muscle car certainly gets around.
Absolutely. It's kind of iconic, honestly.
Maybe that should be a sticker.
It should. Did Wile E. Coyote drive a car? He didn't.
Not that I can picture.
Wile E. Coyote was also kind of inept. Like, he always tried to, to get his schemes done, but they inevitably, that damn Roadrunner always outsmarted him.
He was the one after the Roadrunner.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This coyote is clearly more intelligent.
They've evolved.
Absolutely. You have to be careful, all of us.
Keep your eyes peeled.
Eyes
you never
peeled.
know.
Head on a swivel, everybody. Should we make that into a sticker?
Yeah.
Head on a swivel.
We have stickers coming soon, y'all, so.
We do have stickers. Keep your eyes peeled. Keep your head on a swivel for our stickers.
If we can get... What's a realistic amount of listeners? If we could get, like...
100?
100 new listeners a month, we should make a Patreon.
How many do we have?
Tell your friends. I don't know. I have no idea. I think we have like 30.
I know we have 87 followers on Instagram
my glass.
at our last count.
Shout out to our followers and like, or not our followers, our listeners in like Greece and Australia and the other country that's not the U.S.
Portugal. Well, that's my parents.
But then there was like Spain too. If you don't live in the U.S. and you're listening to us, thank you.
Yeah, that's really cool.
Yeah.
That is extremely cool. If you listen to us anywhere, that's really cool.
Yeah. Thank you to every single person listening to this. We love you.
Listening to this madness unfold.
If you want to come over and hang out, come over.
If you live in Oregon, you want to come over and hang out, and you're pure of heart, you're welcome
no
to
dick
come.
pics.
Again. No dicks. We're both married women, okay?
Yeah.
We're not interested in your penises.
Gross.
It's disgusting. So we're talking today about people who travel, the act of traveling. I'm trying to think if I have any content warnings. I think I do have a brief content warning for mention of animal cruelty within the first 10 seconds of reading, and then after that it's going to be pretty chill. Yeah, just in terms of, you know what I mean. Shut up. Okay. All right. Let's get down to it, shall we? Robert Silveria Jr. grew up in Silicon Valley in the early 70s in a small town called Sunnyvale, located in the Santa Clara Valley. Robert knew Silicon Valley long before it had established its reputation for being the tech hub of the United States, back when it was quiet and suburban. He had a, quote, unremarkable childhood, according to a family member. However, Robert would himself say otherwise, that his youth was plagued by the abusive tirades of his father, who often beat both him and his mother. He recalled one incident of watching his father kill his pet rabbits and toss their severed heads into the trash, later serving them to him under the guise of feeding him chicken. He called his son Sissy on a daily basis, planting a seed of anger and resentment in Robert that would take root and grow like a weed. As a teen, Robert would lurk around the local tattoo parlor. For years, he was chased away, and on occasion forcibly removed. Eventually, those that ran the parlor got tired of telling him to get lost, so they conceded and allowed him to become an informal apprentice. That's how he learned the trade. He was very good at it, his Uncle Lloyd recalled during an interview. He shrugged back his sleeves to display several tattoos his nephew gave him in his youth, digging out old flash sheets and marveling at the detail. He was a good kid, Lloyd went on. It's surprising that he's come out like he did because he was so passive. Robert's first brush with the law came at 16 when he stole a motorcycle. He was sent to a youthful offender center. Upon his return from the center, Robert confided in his Uncle Lloyd that he had been molested during his stay. His uncle swore he never recovered from this first stint in juvie and the trauma he endured there. At 18, he stole another motorcycle and received a year of jail time. He was in and out of jail between 19 and 21, serving short sentences mostly for theft. By his mid-20s, he appeared to have changed his ways, at least briefly. He got married and landed a job at the Quincy, California airport. However, soon after, Robert began embezzling money from his new employers and developed a heroin addiction. He and his wife welcomed a daughter into their small family, but shortly after her birth, Robert confided in a friend that he'd begun to have vivid dreams where he murdered his wife and baby. Eventually, the dreams gave way to the threat of real urges in his waking life, so much so that he became convinced he would act on them. He left his family in Quincy, California, and traveled to Stockton, where his Uncle Lloyd would board him while he figured out his next move. As luck would have it, the police department in Stockton was entirely overworked and understaffed, making it an ideal home base for him. He ended up opting to camp under a bridge rather than stay with his uncle, relishing the total freedom it provided. He'd hop trains into town to buy and sell heroin during the day, then return to his post under the bridge at night to sleep. One day while camping, Robert was jumped by 3 men. He was robbed and beaten nearly to death. When he'd recovered, he started asking around to the other transients and train riders to see if any of them knew who had attacked him. He was told not to mess with those individuals, that they were dangerous and well organized. That was when he first learned of a group called the FTRA, or Freight Train Riders of America, a notoriously violent train riding gang with roots in white supremacy. If you're a black or Hispanic person and you get on a train with an FTRA member, you don't get out alive, noted Spokane officer Bob Grandinetti. Robert made it his mission to track down the members who had jumped him and pay them back one by one. His viciousness soon earned him the respect of the gang, and it didn't take long before he was asked to become an official member. To be sworn in, Robert had to drink an entire 5th of whiskey, and then square off in a fight against whichever member the gang selected. If he held his own, he would be welcomed into the organization. Needless to say, Robert did well. Later, he referred to himself as an enforcer in the organization, and with that title came a brutal legacy. Though it isn't certain exactly when Robert Silveria took his first life, we know that he is confirmed to have killed 9 men between the years of 1992 and 1995. I think he rode the High Line, which would be up in Montana through Oregon, up through the northern section of the United States, his uncle recalled. This is the basic timeline for the discovery of the bodies of Silveria's confirmed victims, though no connections were made in their murders until his arrest in 1996. 19-year-old Darren Royal Miller was found bludgeoned to death in his sleeping bag in July of 1992 in Thompson Spring, Utah. In April of 1995, 54-year-old William James Clark was discovered dead in Tallahassee, Florida, having been robbed and beaten to death. Then in August of the same year, the bludgeoned body of Michael A. Garfinkel, age 20, was discovered in Emeryville, California. Garfinkel had planned to ride boxcars to Santa Cruz with a buddy, but never made it. On April 1st, 1995, 38-year-old Roger Lee Bowman was found murdered near a set of train tracks in Salt Lake City, Utah. By this point, several eyewitness testimonials had put Robert Silveria on police's radar, though they knew him only by the alias of Sidecar. In July 1995, 50-year-old James E. McLean was discovered stabbed to death in his homeless encampment in Albany, Oregon, and 46-year-old Charles Randall Boyd was found murdered in a collapsed tent in Kansas near Canopolis Lake. Between August and December of 1995, the bodies of 43-year-old Paul Wayne Matthews, 39-year-old William Avis Pettit Jr., and 24-year-old Michael Andrew Kleitz were located in Whitefish, Montana, Millersburg, Oregon, and Portland, respectively. It was the recovery of Pettit and Kleitz, both found murdered in Oregon, that caused police to begin their investigating. But apprehending Silveria would prove to be more difficult still. See, in addition to his various aliases, Robert financed his murderous escapades partially by stealing the social security cards of his victims and using their identities to apply for food stamps. Using several of these cases of identity theft and fraud, and cross-referencing them with the locations of where the bodies were discovered, police managed to pin down their suspect. At first, all they knew was that he went by the name Sidetrack and a vague description. They'd heard the name Robert Silveria tossed around by various members of the train hopping community, but they didn't make the connection that the two were actually one and the same until his arrest in 1996. By the time he was finally apprehended, Robert was sticking close to the Pacific Northwest. He'd grown so accustomed to using violence as a means to an end that he didn't think twice about it. His methodology involved using friendliness to disarm a potential victim. He'd select his target, usually because they had something he wanted, be it a new pair of boots, a sleeping bag, money, drugs, etc. He'd ply them with food or booze, good conversation, or company. Then once their guard was lowered, he'd strike. Upon his arrest in Oregon, Robert Silveria confessed to the murders of 19 individuals in addition to the 9 that law enforcement was able to link him to directly, bringing his number of victims to 28. He pled guilty to the murders of Pettit and Kleitz and was sentenced to 2 consecutive life terms. He's currently serving out his sentence at the Oregon State Penitentiary. It's said that Silveria had 2 sides. One was calm, patient, generous, and friendly. The other was violent and merciless, and his mood would swing like a pendulum. He would hit this rage, and it would kill him, said his uncle. And then immediately after, he'd sit there and cry and read the Bible. In the mid-90s, 2 old-time train riders encountered Silveria in Portland. He offered them coffee, and they had a pleasant, jovial conversation, even marking the meeting with a picture taken together. It wasn't until months later that the 2 men he'd encountered learned the details of his identity. It was the fact that I came out of it unhurt and unscathed that I realized later on I'd been lucky long enough, said former writer Guitar Whitey. So I quit writing, and that was the incident that finally made up my mind.
That's so many victims.
Well, he confessed to 28, but I read that they suspect him of killing closer to 50.
That's insane. Are all the victims other train riders?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Either train riders or like homeless people that he encountered.
I feel like when I lived in Bloomington, I knew a few train hoppers who were like these like whimsical like trust fund kids who like just painted this completely different picture of train life, transient life.
Well, it's funny because in one of the interviews that same guy, his name is Guitar Whitey.
Oh God.
He was like old, like been doing it since like forever. Mm-hmm. And he said, he talked about how initially because the documentary that I watched came out in like 1999. Mm-hmm. And he talked about how initially train riders, they called them hobos. It came from the term hoboy, because train riders were just like guys that would ride trains from one town to another in search of like agricultural work.
Okay.
And they'd bring their shovels with them, so they called them hoboys. So it started out as just like, basically you're like blue collar. Mm-hmm. You're going from point A to point B, and you're working, and then you're like going somewhere else and you're working. And he said at one point there was like a obvious shift where the people that were hopping trains were like these well set up young men that were just like trying to feel something, essentially. They weren't looking for work. They were just trying to like have an experience.
Yeah.
Which is, I mean, I feel like every train hopping Oogle I've ever met has had a trust fund.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Which is why they feel comfortable like pursuing that lifestyle.
Yeah.
Because they know that when the shit gets real, they can just be like, I'm out. Like,
Rich,
I'll go work in my dad's company.
You know, Rich always trying to cosplay the poor.
True.
Yeah. This guy's wild.
His interviews are really interesting. He was very polite. He was very soft-spoken. Very gracious.
I don't like when people try to paint people other people as having two different personalities, like one side being like the evil side or whatever, and one side being like a Bible lover, because I think that's like one and the same fucking thing.
Totally. I mean, we think that because we know that religion is not great.
No.
But I feel like there are still people who believe that being a Christian is diametrically opposed to being someone who does bad things.
Yeah.
And I mean, they don't have to be mutually exclusive, you know? Like, a lot of people who are directly involved with the church do horrible things, and we know this. But, I don't know. I think that from what it sounds like, he just had a really shitty childhood, and he was very damaged, and he suffered a lot of trauma. He didn't kill, and he only killed men. I think he had daddy issues.
Yeah.
He had issues with men. Some control, dominance issues. I think his father was very damaging to him in his formative years, and then obviously getting assaulted as a teenager probably just like made everything worse. Yeah. And I think he was probably just like trying to assert himself and prove to everybody his whole life that he was like hard and tough and not to be messed with.
Can you imagine drinking an entire fifth of whiskey?
And then trying to fight someone? No.
Yeah.
I can't imagine drinking an entire fifth of whiskey. I can't imagine doing that and then trying to like sit down, let alone trying to fight someone.
I mean, I have never honestly tried to physically fight somebody in my life, but if I were going to do it, then I guess I would do it after drinking a fifth of whiskey, maybe? I don't know. I don't think I'd be able to stand up after drinking a fifth of whiskey.
You wouldn't feel pain as much, but you'd bleed more, so...
Yeah.
I don't know. Apparently he did pretty good.
That's so much whiskey.
That's so much whiskey. I don't know how he was alive, quite frankly. I also think it's really funny because in the documentary that I watched, his uncle was like, look at these awesome tattoos. Look at these awesome flash. And I was like, whoa.
I was curious about that. If you are able to find any screenshots or like photos of his flash.
I have the link to the documentary in my show notes. So I'm sure I can find some. The tattoos aren't terrible. I mean, they're like old school, like biker tattoos. The flash is bad. Or whatever. To me, it looks like it's trying to be like a flash sheet. Mm-hmm. But it might just be like a painting that he did. But it's just like, it's not good. I disagree with Uncle Lloyd.
Aww. Love a supportive uncle, though.
Yeah. His Uncle Lloyd was featured very heavily in the documentary. And he's like an 80-year-old man in like with a bandana and long hair and like a Harley Davidson shirt. And you can tell he's very sad. He's sad about his nephew.
That's sad.
Yeah. They interview him a lot and he's broken up over it.
Yeah.
But yeah, he covered a lot of ground. He just got on trains and killed people for whatever he needed.
That's crazy. Yeah, that seems like a lot of victims to me.
It's a lot of victims. It's also another case. I feel like this is like the third case in a row that I've covered that is like has white supremacist roots. Yeah. And I feel like that is a recurrent theme in the Pacific Northwest.
Yes, it is. I'm sure more to come.
Probably. It seems to keep weaseling its way in.
Yep.
What are you going to be discussing tonight?
Tonight, I'm going to talk about some haunted highways in Oregon. Oregon Route 18 is a state highway that runs between Lincoln City and Newberg, Oregon. For several years, Highway 18 has had a notorious reputation with Oregon motorists as being an extremely unsafe highway with a relatively high number of fatal accidents. Along this highway, there's a 12-mile scenic stretch known as the H.B. Van Duzer Corridor, where there are rumors of paranormal activity and of a secret government base conducting experiments, with stories going back to the 1980s. People are said to suddenly appear and disappear from this road. Others have insisted that their cars have taken over and began to drive themselves. Some travelers report missing time and strange lights. Some say Bigfoot has made an appearance or two, and others believe this area is home to its own secretive government base. A quote from an article on thatoregonlife.com. My dad and mom told me about seeing a UFO on the way home from Salem one night. They were in an area with trees close to Highway 18 with deep ditches on both sides. Ahead of them, a couple of 100 feet, was a vehicle of some sort with a row of lights all around the outside. My mom said that there was a man inside and that there were lights inside too. He was leaning forward, frantically pushing something that they assumed were controls. Suddenly, the vehicle lifted slightly and shot off directly to the south and then disappeared. According to some locals, a nearby forest road was cut off by the government in the 1970s, leading people to speculate that there may be a secret base nearby. There is also a mysterious hidden ghost town in the Van Duzer corridor, buried beneath foliage, just up a small trail from the highway. A couple more strange encounter submissions I found from roadsideamerica.com. My wife and I regularly travel this section of road to and from work, often at night. We know from Lincoln City to home is a 45-minute drive. One night, we left after a bite at Maxwell's in Lincoln City and headed home. The band was playing their last song. The time was 2:00 a.m. We both noted that and calculated that we would arrive home around 2:45 a.m. Upon arriving home, I stepped into the kitchen and glanced at the clock. 4:30 a.m. I turned to check the battery-operated one on the opposite wall, and it also read 4:30. We both stood and stared at each other, as cold chills ran up our spines. We left Lincoln City at a known time and arrived home, having made no stops, almost 2 hours late. To this day, we have no explanation. Neither one of us had been drinking or doing drugs. It is one of the strangest things to ever happen to me. Totally unexplainable. One time many years ago, myself and my husband were driving home from the Willamette Valley around 2 a.m. Going through the Van Duzer corridor when it was about 29 degrees out, we came upon a guy walking in shorts and a tank shirt as if it was a sunny day. We worried he might be broken down somewhere, so we decided to pull up beside him. He walked up to my passenger side window and said, "Oh, I'm just walking back to Lincoln City." Then, out of nowhere, a cop pulls up behind us, lights blaring, as he jumps out. I can't actually see the officer, just a silhouette as he is standing in front of his own headlights. He says to us in a strong voice, "Go now, we got this." And I look at my husband with a "let's get the frig out of here" look, and we drive off. Moments later, we pull over to call 911 to make sure everything is okay, but they say they have no deputies in the area, so we decide to call the state police. No one in that area either, so no state, no county, and no Lincoln City police either. Who pulled up behind us, and where was that guy walking from that he was so oblivious to it being freezing out? We have never driven through the Van Duzer corridor at night since. On a stretch of Highway 101, a bit north of the Van Duzer corridor and Highway 18, you may encounter a man covered in bloody bandages with oozing wounds. The legend of Bandage Man originated in Cannon Beach around the 1960s. He is thought to be the mummy of a logger that was hacked up in a sawmill accident. The bandaged man lurks on the side of Highway 101 between the north entrance of Cannon Beach and the Highway 26 junction, terrorizing motorists late at night. He is said most often to target moving vehicles with open tops and pickup trucks. He feeds on dogs, bats, small animals, and sometimes the occasional human. People who have encountered the bandaged man says that he walks with a strange gait as if his arms and legs are not attached, and is most often smelled before he is seen, as he is said to smell strongly of rotting flesh. Sometimes the bandaged man doesn't make a full appearance and instead leaves behind bits of bloody, stinky scraps and torn flesh. Gross. Like every good legend, the bandaged man also enjoys terrorizing unexpected, frisky teenagers. According to a story linked in the show notes, a couple making out in a Chevy truck felt the truck lean to one side. They turned to investigate and came face to face with a smelly creature with two eyes piercing through dirty, bloody bandages. He beat on the back window and on the top of the car trying to get to the young couple. The young man started his truck and sped down the highway as fast as he could. When the couple came to a safe road, they turned to look, but the bandaged man had disappeared. Another piece of the legend says that after the bandaged man had been maimed by the sawmill, a rock slide buried the ambulance that was carrying the man to the hospital. The accident killed the driver, but the bandaged man disappeared. His body was never laid to rest because nobody ever found it. So he continues haunting this lonely, dark stretch of road to this day. And I also found this Reddit story called Strange Person on Oregon Highway 22 from Reddit user Dignified Fruit. A couple of months ago, I was driving with my wife down a rural highway in Oregon, returning home from a road trip to Crater Lake. We live on the coast, and the highway we were taking to get back is very curvy as it winds through the Cascade Mountain Range. It was dark as ink and probably around 11 p.m. We were driving along, and I was watching the road, going about 45 miles per hour. We round a bend, which makes me slow down, and just as we get around it, my wife suddenly says, "Look out, there's a person there." It takes me a second as I let off the gas, then I notice her/it. Crouched near the side of this two-lane highway on my left side is a person wearing what looks like gray baggy sweats and a reflective vest. This is an easy 20 miles either direction from civilization and is heavily wooded. I begin braking and instantly the figure stands up, faces us, and begins jogging directly at the car. It felt like electricity in the air. When she faced us, her head was flopped to the side, like her neck totally limp, and her mouth was wide open. She appeared to have gray hair, and her arms and hands were held up against her chest, with her wrists curled. Her legs didn't seem to be working right either as she hobbled at us. Then it hit, this primal-like feeling of dread, like my subconscious knew something wasn't right. I couldn't fully focus on her as the car was still moving and I had to steer, but my wife was looking right at her. My first thought normally would have been hit the brakes and see what was going on, as this is literally miles and miles from town, but there was just this dreadful feeling in the air and time almost seemed to slow down. At that moment, I heard my wife say, "Don't stop, just go." Instinctively, I accelerated. As we sped up, this lady was jogging right at us and must have come within a foot of running to the side of the car as we went past her. We rounded the next bend and I looked at my wife and just said, "What the hell was that? I should turn around. Who the hell jogs out here? What was wrong with her neck?" My wife just looks at me and says, "No, don't go back. I don't know what that was." I told her I couldn't look directly at her for long as I was focused on the road, but described what I saw, and she confirmed she saw the same. She said when she came up to the side of the car, she was staring right at us, and my wife looked her in the eyes, but she didn't have any pupils, and her expression stayed just frozen with her mouth wide open. We scoured news stories, and I even contacted authorities. They told us no one was reported missing or hurt out there. I still get this strange, intense, electrified feeling every time I think about her, and so does my wife. All I know is she wasn't right. We have now coined her the floppy-headed jogger. Has anyone else experienced something like this?
Oh, that last one. Ooh.
Yeah. That Reddit thread is really interesting. I will link it in the show notes, but there were multiple people who have said that they've experienced something similar on like the backroads of Oregon. It's so interesting reading like backroads of Oregon stories because people see some weird shit.
What do you think it is?
I think that it's probably people driving through mountain ranges really late at night. They're seeing things. There's not much around.
But that is like such a specific.
Yeah, this one is a really specific
thing.
like. Yeah, you're right.
To me, the description of it sounded like a zombie.
Yeah. With their head turned. Some people in the thread were thinking like, it seems like she has a broken neck, so maybe it's like the apparition of someone who fell and broke their neck.
But then why would she be running?
Yeah, I don't know.
I feel like if I broke my neck, I'd be like down.
Yeah. But if you're dead and you have the ability to run again, why not?
But if you're dead and you have the ability to run again, then why is your neck still broken?
That's true. Yeah.
I have so many questions.
Yeah.
It makes me think of have you watched the Haunting of Hill House series?
Mm-hmm. The
bent neck lady.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It kind of makes me think of that.
Yeah. That is who I picture every time
With
I
the
read
mouth
something like
open.
that.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't know what it is, but there's something about those remote stretches of Oregon highway, especially through the coast ranges through the mountain ranges that are so prone to like these crazy stories of people seeing weird shit. There are some like weird, I would love to do an episode in the future about just like backwoods people and like just like the crazy shit that happens in the woods and these like remote places.
I mean, I'm sure we could find enough stuff to do a full episode on that. I'm sure I could find some weird true crime.
Oh, absolutely.
Backwoods murders.
I think I almost sent you an article about some weird backwoods true crime shit the other day. I'll find it again and send it to you. I don't remember. It was somewhere in Oregon. So much of Oregon is like backwoods. Washington too.
Foreshadowing. I don't know what I would do if I was in a car and I saw a woman who looked like her neck was broken, who didn't have pupils, running alongside
I know.
the car.
I feel
like I would have stopped and been like,
try to help.
What's going on?
Yeah.
Where are you going?
Like being like,
is your neck okay?
A woman. Like, you want to help and you want to stop and help her.
Yeah, absolutely. Or at least just be like, you good?
Yeah.
Like,
but
what are you doing?
According to this story, there was like a weird electrical charge in the air, and
anytime there's a weird electrical charge, that makes me think aliens.
Yeah.
But
weird alien, if it is.
I don't know. Yeah, oof.
I'm really curious about the Van Duzer corridor. I was looking at it on a map, and I'm sure I've driven through it sometime. It's like this really like popular scenic route, and there are just so many stories about people like missing time and like aliens and UFOs and lights, and I'm really curious about that.
I am interested in a time slip. I think that they're really interesting. They also scare me because I feel like they're often linked to you. Like,
it means you have gotten abducted.
I think it either means you've gotten abducted or there's some weird string theory timeline disruption thing, like kind of like what I was talking about.
Yeah.
With the like multi-universe theory. Because time is linear, supposedly. So when you can't account for time that is lost, that basically means you're either going crazy or the world as you know it is not as you know it. And they're both really scary, you know?
Yeah, absolutely.
They're both really scary.
So on Thanksgiving, Jordan and I had this tradition for like I don't know, let's say 3 years now, where we would watch a Lindsay Lohan movie, and it was like a Lindsay Lohan Thanksgiving tradition. This year, we started to watch Freakier Friday, and we could, oh my God, we watched like 10 minutes of it, and we were just like, we can't do this. This is awful. So then we put on this documentary about aliens, and right now I can't tell you what it was called, but it was so scary. It was about like,
Was it on Hulu?
no, I wish I could remember what it was called.
It's honestly probably good that you can't remember what it was called, because if you could, I would go home after this and watch it and then probably cry.
Editor Jordan here, and the documentary that she's trying to remember is called The Age of Disclosure.
I think you should, because I think it's really interesting, and it's cool to see like the government acknowledge that there are UFOs, but it kind of didn't really like answer that many questions, to be honest.
Just kind of poke the bear a little bit.
Poke the bear a little bit. Change our tradition from Lindsay Lohan to an alien Thanksgiving, I think.
Oh, that's not all bad. You have an alien Christmas tree.
We do, yeah. That's our angel.
I like him. I'm going to be avoiding highways for a long time now.
Yeah. Remote stretches at night.
And trains.
Travel by daylight. Avoid the coyotes. Keep your eyes out for those coyotes.
Keep your eyes peeled. Oh, I got the hiccups. Oh, no.
We had too much wine tonight.
We had several glasses. Now I have the... Oh, no. Now I'm hiccuping. It's so embarrassing. Not really. It's kind of fun. Avoid the coyotes.
Stay safe.
Stay vigilant. Head on a swivel.
Keep your headlights on.
As we say. If you see a woman who looks like her neck is broken, you should probably stop.
Yeah.
Because it might be a woman whose neck is broken and she might need medical attention.
Always stop for women who need help.
Oh my God. Real quick, I just remembered this horrible true crime story. I don't remember where it took place. It might well not be Pacific Northwest. I can't remember. This poor girl was hitchhiking, and I want to say it was the 70s, and she was picked up by this guy. In the 70s, everybody hitchhiked, and he assaulted her repeatedly and then chopped off her arms. I want to say like at the elbow, and threw her over like a ravine. And she survived. And she woke up and she like packed dirt into her wounds to stop the bleeding, and she ran onto the freeway with severed arms and her arms held up so that they wouldn't bleed, and flagged down a car for help. And if they had been like, that's a weird ghost, and not stopped, she would have bled to death and died.
Oh my God.
But as it happened, she survived, and she went on to testify at that man's trial.
I hope that woman is thriving and doing okay now.
She
That
is
awful.
I wish I could remember her name. It's Mary something, I think. I want to say that she's like a painter now.
Oh.
I believe that guy did some jail time, but not very much. And then he got out and ended up murdering another woman.
Aliens are so scary, but I think humans are so much scarier.
Humans are terrifying. But to me, I know how to like be careful of them.
Yeah, that's fair.
And with aliens, I'm like, I don't get it. And so I don't know what to do.
Yeah.
That's why they're scarier to me. I feel like you can prepare for serial killers and human beings with bad intentions on their mind.
Yeah.
And with aliens, I'm like, I genuinely don't get it.
Yeah. I get that.
But I don't get it, but I know that they're there. And so I'm like...
You can't just like be safe in your home.
Yeah. Because I've seen so many documentaries where it's just... And, oh man, here's a movie that you need to watch. Have you ever seen the movie Progeny?
Mm-mm.
It's a 90s alien movie starring the guy that played the mummy in The Mummy.
Brendan Fraser?
No. Okay. Not Brendan Fraser, the guy that played the actual mummy.
What is the movie called? Prodigy?
Progeny.
Progeny.
And it's an alien abduction impregnation movie
No.
from the 90s. And I watched it with Daniel like a year ago when we were stoned. I'm getting ready to watch it again with him, I think. But it was genuinely pretty equally like funny and also terrifying.
That sounds so scary. Just look it
Yeah.
up. Okay.
It's really
Adding
good.
it to my list.
It's really good, like trippy, late 90s, jarring, creepy, pretty convincing.
I have okay, so eventually when we are at a point where we have a Patreon, I love brainstorming cool things that we could do for the Patreon. And one thing that we could do could be like a movie club. Like a lot of the Patreons have book clubs, but I think it'd be really fun to do a movie club where we choose a movie each month and then we talk about it as a crew. As a Patreon crew.
I would love to do that. You know, movies are my favorite.
Yeah. Okay. All right, listeners, look forward to that as a Patreon
Just
gift.
keep listening so that we can get enough listeners to make a Patreon.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And then we'll have one. And then we'll do that.
Yes. Okay. Well.
And on that note, we're going to wrap this up. Have a wonderful evening, and thank you for tuning in.
And have a happy new year.
And a happy new year. Oh my God, yes. Have a happy new year. Holy shit.
Good night.
Sweet dreams.
This episode edited by 88.8.